did you break out of the scarab?
With the beetle thing?
Ah.
Well, I used my hairpin, and
Foul.
as you can see, I'm drenched. Look, this place, what is it?
Oh. Wonderland.
That's a story in a kid's book.
Does this look like a kid's story to you?
No.
So that gives you just a little taste, and keep in mind, like, visual effects. I can already hear Nick, like, it's not done yet. But without further ado, let me bring out Nick Willing is our director, and Katerina Scorsone, who's plays Alice, and Matt Frewer, who plays the White Knight.
Hello.
Hello.
So, questions?
That wasn't done yet.
Here.
So with any reimagining of classic children's literature, or any literature at all, how do you feel about approaching it? How did you approach the storytelling, the character development, the look?
Sounds like a Nick question.
Phew.
How do I, carefully. Yeah. We were in development for about a year. And Mark read maybe 42 drafts of the screenplay in the year. But it was interesting because it developed from a almost exclusively a science fiction, fantasy, special effects, CGI-driven, action-packed thriller into a much more emotional, psychological story. And that, I think, is testament to Mark's suggestions, and I think it was much better, actually, for it.
Wait, can I get a recording of that, please? I will say that, we were very interested, having done Tin Man, and what Nick brought to Tin Man, although it was a pre-existing script that we had adapted. And then when he talked to us about doing Alice in Wonderland, which was, okay, here's a classic story, very nervous about taking on that story in a way that had not been told already before. And in fact, Dave Howe bussed me on this because I think when I was talking about Tin Man, someone said, well, what about Alice in Wonderland? I was like, Alice in Wonderland basically doesn't work because it's just about a dumb girl who falls down a hole. And it is in a sense that the narrative of that is, Lewis Carroll's narrative is really an episodic thing about a girl that a lot of stuff happens to that doesn't drive the story very well. And so I think it really does need to have a take on it and it was also a political, you're much more versed on this than I am, but that and Through the Looking Glass were both political satires dealing with all sorts of things that we don't really know or care about anymore in terms of how Parliament worked and everything else. So to take that into a narrative that really drove and felt modern was something that, as much as I will love to take all the credit, I had very little to do with except to really to challenge Nick to find the right way to do that. And I think the clips that you saw don't do justice to really where the story goes in terms of you got a little taste of the Dormouse, but in terms of the way that the story has been adapted is both fun, ingenious, but also really engaging on its own level. And I think I'm a huge fan of Katarina's. We've worked obviously with Matt a lot, but I think we also found in Alice someone who's not your typical what you expect. And I think that was very important as well. You need someone that is going to embody the reimagining of this, and I think they found that person.
One thing I'd say, one sort of soundbite I would give is that this Wonderland is the Wonderland 150 years on from that Wonderland that you read in as a children's story, because that was written in 1860, and this is set today. So just as we have evolved in 150 years, so too has Wonderland, and not all for the better.
Ken Gold with Media Boulevard.
Thanks. My question, obviously there's the big screen production, the Tim Burton thing being worked on as well, and it seems like it's really the perfect time for you guys to be doing this. Also, we know what Tin Man did for the network. I mean, the highest rated show that's ever aired, I believe, if that's correct. And my thought is there thought about maybe more, either a follow-on movie or even a series at some point with this? And if there was, is that something that the three of you would be interested in taking part in?
Yes.
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 Mark?
Mark question.
No comment.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak for me. It was really, I've been doing this for a little while, and it was one of the most positive filming experiences I've ever had from the top down. I mean, Mark and everything that all of the executives contributed and gave us the opportunity to do. Nick, I mean, just wait until you see the story. I mean, the script really was, when I got it, I read it in one sitting, and it's a very long script. It's a 4-hour movie event. It's really an incredible story, independent of the fact that it plays on, all of these classic themes and reinterprets all of these classic characters that we're familiar with. It's really kind of an exciting journey from a psychological standpoint, and so the story's great, and then Nick created an environment on the set that was so nurturing and positive and safe for creativity. We had a really long rehearsal period where he worked with everyone individually and together, and we found all kinds of things that we couldn't have done on our own, and then we got to set, and the crew was fantastic. They'd been assembled. Some were from Tin Man, and some came to us just on this project. But it was really one of those magical experiences where everyone kind of walks around in a bit of a daze, going, "Is this really? We're really getting to have this experience that we all think we're supposed to have when we make a movie?" It was so positive for so many reasons.
We were talking about it earlier on, and I think a lot of the actors, and I know Nick was talking about this too, we're sort of suffering from post-Alice syndrome, PAS. And it's because you so rarely get material that is that good, that it's difficult to find stuff that's going to measure up, and it was a fantastic experience, top to bottom, and long may it continue. So if it has a chance to live in a series, I think we'd definitely all be jumping on board. Yeah.
Yes.
Make my way around here.
Seaton, thedeadbolt.com. Obviously, we all have our own love and appreciation for Alice in Wonderland. With Katarina and Matt, when you read the script, I'm interested to know, there's a generation between, obviously there's a generation gap. I'm wondering what each of you thought when you read the script. Can you talk about that?
You mean there's a generation gap between me and her?
Yeah, obviously.
Well,
A little long in the tooth.
Yes, I was able to consult Lewis when he wrote his version. I think this one had all the elements of the original classic story, but kind of it went to DEFCON 9. As Nick said, it's 150 years on. I mean, it's probably it has a darker edge to it than the original, but